So Good Governance Africa will release the newest edition of its flagship assessment tool, the Governance Performance Index. Now, the GPI provides a holistic overview of the state of local governance in South Africa, and the forthcoming report will be the fourth since the GPI was launched back in 2016. The index ranks each of the 8 metros separately and 205 local municipalities on a different list. KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo and the Eastern Cape account for 15 of the bottom-ranked municipality. In a recent podcast on great governance by Dr. Harlan Cloete, he says most institutions go down because managers are not prepared to enforce consequence management. Well, joining us now is Dr. Harlan Cloete, Research Fellow at the University of the Free State. Dr. Cloete, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I think that what we've done this year is focus so much on the upcoming provincial and national elections, right? And I think I want to start here. Just talk to us about the importance of actually looking at what's happening at local government level as we decide who we're voting for at provincial and national level.
Good morning, Naledi, and good morning to all the viewers as well. No, you are right. I think we do have the important national provincial elections taking place in this year, 2024. But I think the big prize is 2026 because, it is at local government sphere where people experience the love or indifference of the state. And I think that is, if we look at the last 10 years or so, I think that is where most of the debates and the lack of service delivery has taken place. It's where communities are vocal, it's where they are saying enough is enough, and they are using all kinds of means to express themselves, to have their voices heard.
Yeah, I mean, we need to then talk a little bit about what we're actually seeing as the state of our municipalities. The Department of Cooperative Governance has also been looking into the issue. We have, 257 municipalities in the country. The latest data is saying about 89.1% of those municipalities are not working. And that's 90. I mean, let's just round it off. 90% of our municipalities are not working. Just how dire is that situation, and what does it mean from a practical point of view? Because we can sit and talk about data, but for people living in those municipalities, they're seeing the practical effects of it, right?
Look, people are saying that they're not getting the dividend for the democracy. They're saying that it is not working. If local government is not working, that means the state is not working. It means services are not being delivered. I visit municipalities. 2 weeks ago, I was in Gauteng. I was in the Northern Cape. And then there are pockets of excellence. The example that you just cited of consequence management comes from a conversation that I've had with a colleague at Midvaal. His name is Patrick Pilani. And he shared with me, if there's no consequence, municipalities just fall by the wayside. And if there's a lack of will, if there's a lack of political will, if there's a lack of administrative will, there are dire consequences. And the end, the services are not effectively and efficiently delivered to communities. That's why we've seen with the water shortage, for example. It all comes down to leadership, and it all comes down to governance. Yeah.
It's interesting that you touch on the Midvaal because it's the one municipality that I think for years has been lauded for clean audits. For a very long time, they got these, clean audits, but especially when they were under former Mayor Bongani Baloyi. And at the same time, when you looked at those clean audits, you were then faced by areas like the Dr. Ruth Sekgomotsino, that's in the northwest. Another informal settlement, that is in that area. Sicelo informal settlement, correct, that complain about a lack of water, sanitation, refuse removal. So are we using the wrong measuring stick when we look at our municipalities? Because we seem to talk a lot about audit reports and what comes out of the AG report.
Look, clean audits don't necessarily mean clean streets. And so clean audits says one thing, and I raised this with Midvaal. A clean audit says that you are managing your finances well, that you can account for it, that there are systems and there's financial governance. So it is an indicator for the rest of the matters as well. We're currently doing a study on human resource development, and we have found in many municipalities that although they have clean audits, it doesn't mean that relates necessarily to good training and development of staff as well. So clean audit is financial indicator is one indicator, but there are other measures: development, community participation, the functioning of ward committees, for example. Those are all indicators the innovation, how communities are involved in co-creating of policies. How do we move from government to governance? How are they participating in determining finding sustainable solutions to their needs? And so clean audits is one. It is not the only measure, and we caution against that. It cannot be the only, but it is an indicator that the municipalities' leadership on finances, that they can account for that. And that's a first step, in my view.
Yeah, you talk about finances, and I was touching on the Dr. Ruth Sekgobotswe district municipality. That's in the northwest, where they forfeited something like 700 million rand over the space of 5 years. So we're told that there's no budget to give services. That budget is there and sometimes sent back to Treasury. Why is there no accountability? So where are we failing where consequence management is concerned?
Look, it's a combination. If consequence management means that, I can see a wrongdoing and I do nothing about it. That's why the Auditor General have now got material irregularities, where we can actually hold accounting officers accountable and then actually ask them to repay money if we can prove that there's been financial losses. So consequence management simply means that managers that are tasked to oversee certain departments know what is wrong, and we have got what is called a predictable surprise. We know what is wrong, we can see it is going wrong, but we're doing nothing about it. And so it's sometimes it's a lack of political will, sometimes administrative will. I was speaking to a official the other day, and she relayed to me, you will simply get a phone call that says, listen here, leave this matter. If you want to discipline a staff member, you will get a phone call from a politician. Leave this matter, let it go. She reports to me that she's got one person working for, because this person is being politically protected, that person rocks up only once or twice a month. The rest of them, that person is nowhere to be seen. And so political instability is also the cause of that. I spoke to a consultant the other day, and to ask, the AG keeps on reporting that we've got an over-reliance of consultants in municipalities. And he relates it to, it's not that they creating more work for themselves, it's the instability. If you've got political instability, that spills over to administrative instability and insecurity. You've got municipalities where people are acting. They told me the other day, this is like Hollywood. That's acting this, acting that, acting that. And so acting, if you create that acting and no certainty, you create chaos. And, like all, people profit through chaos. And so sometimes it suits us to have this chaos in municipalities.
There was you're reminding me of last year in July, when Thembing Gadimeng, the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, they said to us that 300 councillors in KZN could not read or write. 300 councillors that cannot read or write. I mean, that's absolutely shocking. Who do we then hold accountable to oversee what our local government does? I mean, is the failure then on the shoulders of COGTA or SELGA? I mean, who should be seeing the quality of our leadership and consequence management in local government?
I asked Salga about that reading and writing, and the response was, it's not that they can't read and write. Sometimes it's about reading financial statements. Sometimes it's about reading policy. So it's not literacy necessarily, but financial literacy and be able to read policy. So even if you put a professor into local government, it takes you about 2 to 3 years to find out what is happening here. And so if we look at the definition of a municipality, it's got the political arm, it's got the administrative arm, and it's the community. And it's these three have to work in concert in terms of checks and balances. Sometimes you've got bad councillors, sometimes you've got bad administrators. And I think mostly the problem is that communities are not informed. We've got a lack of civic education. Communities are not informed about the complexities, firstly about governance, and their own participation in that. We've got participatory democracy and representative democracy, and so communities have to be encouraged. But what we have seen, and I think we will probably see that leading up to 2026, where community organizations or communities are saying, we are tired of being led by national organizations. We are forming our own issue-based organizations, and we've seen the rise in issue-based community-based organizations that say, but we will contest local government elections because we know best.
We are.
Hence, we've seen the rise from 2026 in coalition governance, from 27, I think, in 2016 to about 78 in 2021, And I predict that by 2026, we will have probably more coalition governance in municipalities.
And so that's 2026. We're still going on to 2024. What's the lesson we learn? So talk to us about when we get the findings, who you're sharing them with, especially from a policy-making point of view, and just what the lesson should be as we go into these general elections in 2024.
You know, after we do research, we present our findings to the national body. So on Monday, this coming, we've got a meeting with COCTA, with SALGA, and with other interested stakeholders, practitioners, because we're not interested as the University of Free State to do research for the sake of doing research. It has to be implemented, you know, and so we advocate strongly for the implementation of recommendations. And already last year, we've done a study on knowledge management in local government. We've reported the results. And COGDA, they are already busy implementing it, as from my discussions with the director last week.
All right. Well,
so there are lessons to be learned. There are lessons to be learned, and we need to keep on learning and keep on producing evidence-based policy to take our country forward.
Yeah, and the research is always important. We need to be making our decisions from a knowledgeable point of view. We appreciate your time, Dr. Harlan Cloete. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Dr. Cloete is, of course, a research fellow at the University of the Free State.